Hello, who do we have on the line?
Jamon Wilson.
Whoa!
Oh!
Welcome to the Wiseguyz show.
Thank you.
Demond, I got to tell you the truth. I don't know what came out of nowhere. I said, let me reach out to you. And everyone here is just a huge fan of Sanford and Son, obviously. And we just, all our lives, we kind of grew up with you. And we this is kind of that kind of show where we talk about growing up and things we've done. And nobody better than to have you on. Welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm in the interview season right now. I'm doing like 5 a week.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I have I've got one tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, and then I go to LA on the 9th for a CNN documentary. I was supposed to do one for Time Warner a couple of months ago, and signed the contracts and everything. I do voice stuff. If you see my face, you got to pay. If I'm just doing this, I don't mind, especially you guys. But anyway, the CNN thing, the Time Warner thing, we signed the contract thing, and I was supposed to shoot it in L on a Tuesday. They called me on Sunday afternoon and said, "Have you been vaccinated?" Said something to the effect of lower regions, and they said, "Well, we're going to have to test you." That I have an IQ of 140s. I don't know what test you're going to give me. I said the PCR test. The guy that invented the PCR test, who mysteriously left the planet a month before the lockdown, the shutdown of the world.
Oh, wow.
Went on the air and said the PCR test doesn't prove anything. And I put that out to a lot of people. A lot of people got angry with me, and I said, "Well, I sent him the footage of it. The guy saying he invented the PCR test, and it has nothing to do with COVID." And then I saw a thing where they tested a grapefruit, and it tested positive. And I said, "Wait
Oh
a
my
minute.
God! See?
Don't go to that vegetable store. Stay away from that.
Oh my God!
That vegetable store has COVID." I was at the bank the other day, early in the morning. I went to the Versatel. My gardener was coming in, and I pay him in cash under the table. And he said, "I said, let me go down and get the day before he was supposed to comes on Tuesdays." And so I go down there at 5 a.m. and I'm down there at the Versatel, and there's a worker down there, truck and everything, and he did the Versatel. He leaves. I go up. As I'm leaving, this woman that pulls up in her car. Now, bearing in mind it's 5 a.m. She's in the car. No one else is with her, and she's wearing a mask at 5 a.m. And I said, "Oh shoot, let me get away from here. That car's got COVID." What the heck? I want you guys to know something. My dad's business was in New Jersey for I grew up in Harlem. My dad's business was in Cranford, New Jersey.
Cranford,
Wow,
that's right.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When I
35
first,
years.
when I
He
first,
commuted.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
My dad used to commute from at first on the railroad, Penn Station, and then in later years he would take the bus from Port Authority. He commuted for 35 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, when I first met you, you told me that, and I remembered Linden, but Cranford's right, not that far. I wanted to mention, because I was a Newark fireman, and well, that's what actually made you bring up the fact that your father was from Cranford, and I always remembered even on the show, the
His
Sanford and
business.
Son,
His
you
business,
what?
he was his business was there.
Okay.
His business.
Oh, his business was there, right? Okay, but you mentioned Newark in the series, in the show, Sanford and Son. You said, "Come on, Dad, let's go to Newark. They got a black mayor there."
Yeah.
And I always, as a kid growing up, we
remember that.
heard you.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
I still remember that. And
Well, I could have said Sea Caucus. Then no disrespect.
Nobody would have believed that.
Listen. Fox used to mention all the time in the series El Segundo,
yeah,
Yeah.
and El Segundo is the L.A. version of Sea Caucus.
Oh,
Oh,
it is.
like that.
Okay. All right.
That's funny.
Well, it used to be. I don't know what Sea. I don't know. Maybe it's gone gentrified. Maybe it's gentrified. I don't know. But Sea Caucus used to be a place that if you went to Sea Caucus, people were, why?
It's gotten a little better since, not much. But
So why don't we introduce? You're not just talking just to one or two people. you're talking to our brothers and our sister here in the studio. So we want to introduce ourselves so you're talking to multiple brothers here. Let's start with the.
You don't have artists, you're just a family?
Well, we are a family in a
Yeah,
sense.
in a sense.
We are in a family in a sense, but go ahead.
Is this live or are you recording it?
no, this is recording. This is recording.
This is a recording.
It'll go live tomorrow. It'll broadcast live tomorrow. So if you happen to be online, you can, if you want to chime in and anybody asks any questions, don't think we're live.
That won't be necessary because I'm here and I'm doing it. So,
Right.
That's it. You're live right now.
He's live right now.
Yeah.
Well, we have our in-studio guest. Go ahead and announce your name.
Hey, Damon. Lavari, it's an honor to share this airtime with you. And also, on behalf of everybody here, we also want to thank you for your service as it was
Yes,
Veterans
absolutely.
Day. So thank you so much for your service. Grateful to you about that.
And the one that with the big mouth right here, I'm Jumping Gennaro. And then, of course, you've been talking to Freddie the fireman, who's the host here. And right next to him.
Quite a text messages from Freddie the Fireman.
Yes, I was just I just want to, because I didn't usually when I book a guest, I usually have a conversation, but I figured if everything was going well, I just figured I'd just text you and make sure that we were on top of everything. That's all.
Go ahead next to Freddie.
My name is Biagio, and I'm a huge fan.
Thank you. Well,
And then you got Joey Cat next to Biagio, and I never missed an episode, and I still watched them.
Yeah, we do.
You big dummy.
there's one in every group. Thanksgiving dinner because he usually gets drunk and shows his ass.
And then all the way across the room there is our sound engineer. Go ahead. Roberto.
Roberto. Just like Sanford and Son, we got to have a Puerto Rican in the house.
Chico. Who was it? Chico, right?
No, that was the GOAT.
No. Oh, Chico was the GOAT, yeah.
And then, of course, our talent coordinator who you've been communication with, Annette, who's also Freddie the Fireman's wife.
Yeah.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You're not. Just a voice. I could be anybody.
So the only thing you're missing is if you were in the studio, then you would know you were with a bunch of Italians because we would feed you, we give you whatever.
That's in Maron.
Oh, that's right.
But I did meet you. You were at Chiller Theater, and I did meet you.
Did you buy anything?
Yes,
Yes, we did.
we bought your book,
Oh, okay.
your memoir.
We got the pass.
Oh, I saved that. Let me tell you something. There's certain things I make sure I saved, and let me tell you, you don't understand. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that told you they're big fans of the show, but I mean, I'm definitely one of the top ones. And
Well, let me share something with you. I received a residual check this morning from Switzerland, Portugal,
wow.
Wales, and France. I sell books around the world, and I'm very grateful for the fanship of the people around the world. I've heard that maybe 1 million times in 40 plus years. I mean, it's incredible how something so simple, started out so simple, has made us pop icon.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
God bless.
As long
That's it.
as pop culture exists, I'll be there.
Yeah, well,
Nice.
I got to tell you,
Amazing.
one thing I take from the show that I think relates to everybody's family, culture, heritage, is the fact that Red Foxx, obviously Fred Sanford on the show, always tried to stop you from getting married.
Yeah.
Oh, it kind of reminded me of my mother, as growing up when I was younger. And I think everybody relates to a father. Not
Well, yeah, but it could have been because it's family. It could have been a mother and a daughter. It could have been a daughter and a mother and a son. Because it was family time. It wasn't just Fred stopping Lamont. Lamont interfered in Fred's too. He wanted to marry the Barracuda. He tried to stop that. He made a debacle out of that. So it was like they relied on each other. Somebody said, you guys didn't make money. You guys were poor, da bop, da bop. And I said, the reason I took that is because I've always believed in entrepreneurialism, and Lamont did not work for the, in quotes, the man. That song that Quincy wrote for the theater is called Street Beater. And that's what Lamont did. He went out and he secured a living for he and his dad, because his dad established that business in 1929. Wow. So it was like incumbent upon kids today, if the father's got the business, the kid doesn't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Lamont knew that, his mom died when he was a kid. And so he had his pop, and they had each other. And that was the fascination with that series for me, because I never wanted to do television. I'm from the Broadway state.
That's right.
I went to California. I went to Canada. I came back from Vietnam in 1960. And I worked on Wall Street for about 8 months. Then I started back in the theater. And I did up in Canada, and I went to the New York Shakespeare Theater down in the Village, and I did a series of plays. I did a couple of off-Broadway plays, a Broadway play, and Walter Mirisch, the Mirisch brothers, to see me in a play, and they were casting a movie for Sidney Poitier. He was doing the Gibbs thing.
Wow.
And they said to Mom, you're a jock, and you played basketball and ran track and everything. They said, do you still have any speed? And I said, well, why are you asking me? You're producers. Time producer. What do you know how fast I can run? They took a stopwatch out. He said, where's some speakers to the theater tomorrow? And I did. And Don Medford, Bringing Back Dead Men, who was an action director, was down there. And he said, go. And I ran the block. And when I turned to come back, it was a long block. Nobody was standing. And I thought, okay, well, fine. The next day I went to the theater. Those said the contracts on the table to go into California. Ron O'Neill, the late Ron O'Neill, who did Superfly. The late Raul Julia, who did many, many movies, but Addams Family.
Yep.
And we were in the movie called The Organization, and I played a track from San Jose State, a pole vaulter, which is how I dislocated my shoulder doing take after take.
Wow.
So I got offers to come to California. I never wanted to do television. My agent called me up and says, the producers of all the things, I don't know what it is. He said, it's the #1 TV. I don't watch television. He said, the producers want to talk to you about doing an episode. I said, I don't want to do that. I don't even know what it is. He said, watch it. It's a #1 show. You're new in Cali. You got a reputation from New York, but you could do a lot of work. So I watched it, and I said, I don't want to have anything to do with that. I think that character is despicable. I think his wife is not the sharpest tool in the shed. And I said, I understand what they're trying to do, but I don't want to do it. He said, just get the script first. We're going to send you the script in the morning. And I got the script, and I saw where my character holds a gun to Archie's head. I said, where do I sign? So that began to think that episode with the late. Notice I'm using all these actors I worked with are no longer with us.
Right.
The late Cleavon Little, who did Blazing Saddles.
Right. Yeah. He just passed recently.
Right.
No. He's been gone a minute.
Oh.
About 5 years.
Okay.
Julio, Gregory Sierra died recently.
Right. I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Nathaniel Taylor, Rollo died recently.
Right.
I'm the last man standing. It's me, Lynn Hamilton, Donna, who's 92, 93.
Yeah.
And the 2 cops. One of them lives down here in Palm Springs where I live. He's like 90. So I'm pretty much the last man standing. But they said, they called me up a month later and they said, do you want to do a series with Red Foxx?
Wow.
And I said, what are you guys nuts? Put that guy on television. Come on. It's a joke. I said, no. We got a thing from London called Steptoe and Son. We want to do an adaptation, and Norman Lear was hot on the strength of All Family. So I said, you know what? I don't want to do television, but when I came back from Vietnam, I had a habit, a very nasty that I still have today called eating.
Join the club.
Join the club.
So I said, you know what? If I want to continue to eat, let's get this a little bit. So I flew to Vegas. We met Red at 2:00 in the morning in his garage because he was doing a 10 o'clock show and show. And I thought that he was the most irreverent, hysterical, impossible, fascinating, crazy man. And I knew some crazy people from the war. I grew up in Harlem, so I knew some crazy people that I had ever met. And I said, this guy is insane. How dare you try to put me with him, a Broadway actor? I'll do it.
The chemistry is beyond, and I'm going to say this is jumping general again. You touched on something that was very important, and I think at an early age I recognized that, especially on that show, that everybody was very talented, and that you made it extremely believable that and obviously at some point working with someone for so long it's going to happen. It becomes natural. You really cared about each other, and
Well, that's what you need for a series. You got to have, without synergy between lead characters, you got nothing. And when I did the new Odd Couple with Glad,
Yeah, I remember that.
there was no synergy there. Ron thought the role made him look gay, and everybody went, okay. Really, Ron? Everybody knows. So there was no synergy. He was terrified of me. He was terrified of my talent. He did his TV. He's from the theater in Guthrie Theater in Indianapolis. He's a theater actor, Ron, and he made his television debut on. And I said something to him backstage, and he never forgave me for that because he's terrified. He's a nervous wreck. And we were doing The Odd Couple. The directors and the producers would say, Ron, you got to get in there and get some energy because Damon is going to steal every scene from you. He's stealing every scene from you. And he was terrified. So he just threw the towel in. And he said, I don't do this anymore. So I said, okay, fine. All right. Bye. The same thing with Denise Nicholas. There was no synergy there because, how can I say this delicately? I didn't want to sleep with her. So it became, there's people like that. There are men like that and there are women like that. If they feel you don't feed into their sexuality, and she was a very voluptuous, beautiful woman. But I'm a married guy, and my wife is a beautiful woman. And so Denise was like out in left field someplace because I never made a pass at her. She was accustomed to men falling down and go, oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, give me her and looking in her eye. I never did that. I'm a professional. That's what I came here for. Red and I worked with each other for 6 years, and we never slept together. So it ain't about that.
Was he like a father figure to you off the series?
Who?
Red Foxx.
Well, I tell you, when it first started, it was mentor student, and then it was father son.
Okay.
And morphed into older brother, younger brother.
Wow.
As equals. And it got to a point where they would ask Red something about the show. One of the questions on the CNN, the clip out, the reason I wrote the book, they would go to Red and they would say, Fox, we want to do so-and-so and so-and-so and so. And he would say, I got to do it. That's my stuff. Whatever you say you're going to do, that's what we're going to do.
But he wore his heart on his sleeve. You could see that he was, he came from a real place. Yeah.
What What am I, top liver? I didn't come from a real place.
I said he wore his heart on his sleeve.
All through Vietnam. Come on. Red and I had a lot in common. We had more in common than we didn't. The only difference was that there was a 20-year gap.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Two different generations. But Red was like, he was very savvy.
Yeah.
He said to me on the set, he said, after the first year, he said, Demon. He called me Demon. He said, Demon, you're the smartest nigga I ever met. Other than Malcolm X, you're the smartest nigga.
I wanted to ask you real quick before I forget. You said, because I know you were an actor. Your first appearance was at 4 years old. At age 4, is that correct? On your debut.
Boy, that was a hell of a transition from where we were.
No. But
we were 5,000 light years away.
Yeah. No. But I wanted to ask you about this. The one episode. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was cutting you off. No. The episode where you were reading Othello. Did you influence that episode, being that that was Broadway, and did you?
No. Aaron Rubin, rest his soul, wanted his wife on the show, Maureen Arthur, who was the Marilyn Monroe of the movie How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. She was with the bosoms and the whole thing. She was the paramour. She was the side piece of what's that old guy, Rudy Valley, in that movie. Rudy Valley was CEO. You guys aren't old enough to know. Google it.
I know the movie now. I'm trying to think of what it was.
Business Without Really Trying. Rudy Valley, Maureen Arthur, Robert Morse, Broadway actor, and a girl, the woman, she walked into Conroy's Flowers and held my neck and kissed me in the mouth. She was married to James Ferrantino. I thought, this is strange. James Ferrantino's a nice Italian guy. I like what if this gets back to him? The moon kissed his wife in the mouth. I said, this is not good. But How to Succeed in Business. Go ahead, laugh. You can edit that out. I know what you guys are. Hey, come on. Johnny, look at the movie over here. He's a funny guy. You can edit all that out.
I just want.
I'm going to answer your question. He wanted his wife, Maureen. You can Google her too. She's an old gal now. So she was the Marilyn Monroe, poop, and he wanted her on the show. So he came up with that Lamont was taking acting lessons.
Okay.
That's so he could bring. So Richard Pryor was on set that morning because he wrote a few episodes, and the things he was saying, I'm not even going to repeat. 9 o'clock in the morning, Richard had a fifth of Cavassier.
Oh.
A fit the flipple.
Ripple.
No.
Ripple.
Flip the flapple.
Courvoisier, which is conscious. And some other stuff that was white in color. And he was, I loved Richard when he wasn't on whatever he was on. Because he would say, I see you walking around here acting mannish. I said, Richard, that's going the other way. What am I supposed to walk around like a daffodil? What are you, nuts? This is who I am. I'm from Harlem, brother. I fought it. I'm decorated. A wall here. I got decorations up the wazoo. So we're acting mannish. That's what I am. So that's why he was on that show. That's why we had that episode. I thought it was so that after the fourth season, the man looked like he quit. Like he was just walking through. I heard an excerpt the other morning from Will Smith autobiography. You know, Will Smith that did Young Prince.
Yes.
Fresh Prince. And he said, going into the 6th season, I had the choice, leaving that show, which was getting stupid. The situations were ridiculous. It had become I had the opportunity to stay with that or to do Blockbuster. And he said, I called the cast together, told them, this is ridiculous. I don't want to do this anymore. And that's what happened to me. It's what happened to Clarence Williams III, who grew up with 2 years older than me, God rest his soul. Clarence did Mod Squad. And the situations on 5, 6 years, it gets stale. You bring in new writers and they allowed Red to go off the deep end, and it became a cartoon. So yeah, I didn't want to do it anymore. Plus, I had $1 million contract. The CBS said, as soon as they don't want to do this no more, we got you. So I didn't really care about that. What I cared about, with Fox, I was walking down the hall of BC. Red and I always, as partners, we always ran by each other. And Abernathy, who was the anchor at NBC in those days, stopped me in the hall. He said, Damon, how does it feel? I said, how does what feel? He said, it's the end of an era. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you didn't read the trades today? I said, I don't read the trades any day. He said, it's in the headlines, Red is quitting the show. Wow. And so I was offended, not because, I was defended because he was going to put a lot of people out of work, not myself. As I said before, I had a $1 million contract on the table for CBS, which is where I went to do Baby I'm Back. But he never ran it by me. So that was the only wedge in 5 seasons that came between us. I never confronted him about it. I never said anything about it, but it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt. Yeah. That that's like a man leaves to go to work and comes home and his wife is gone, and there's a note from the lawyer that she's filed divorce.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. That's a tough one.
Bad feeling, yep.
It hurt me. And as I said before, don't get me wrong, Red and I never crossword in 6 seasons. Never a crossword. Never an argument about women, money, drugs, anything. Never a crossword. So that hurt. And the way I dealt with hurt, when somebody that I love hurts me, I just distance myself because I know what I'm capable of, and I don't want to burn a bridge that I might have to cross, and I don't want to destroy what we had. So I let it go, and I walked away from him. And I only saw him once before he died. Wow, and I was playing tennis in those days. I played eight for 20 years, and then I started playing golf. And I played golf for 25 years. But I was playing tennis at the Malibu Racket Club. It was a celebrity tennis club in Malibu, California. And these producers came to me and said, Damon, you got to give us an introduction to Fox. We want to do his 50th show business anniversaries coming, and we want to put some money on the table for Bob and do his 50th anniversary. We'll do it big time. And I said, I have spoken to him. It's now 1982. We went off the air in 77. So I hadn't seen or talked to him almost going on 6 years. My son was in the 1st grade. So I called down to Vegas, and I got Prince Spencer on the phone, and Prince said, Red Foxx backstage, Red Foxx dressing room. I said, Prince, it's Damon. I said, Damon, wow. He said, Red is going to be gassed when he hears this. He said, he's about to come off the stage. I'm going to tell him he's going to be excited. So he comes to the phone. I said, Fox, when are you going to be in L.A. again? He said, I'll be in there on Monday. What do you need? I said, I got some people to give you some money, a ton of money, to do your 50th anniversary. They want to meet with you. Can they come on Monday? He said, you coming with him? I said, yeah. So I told them, I said, Red, not Fred. If you think Fred was difficult, you're going to talk to Red Foxx about money. It's not going to be an easy thing. I'm warning you now. No. We got it. We coming. We got a check for $250,000. Another one if he signs. I said, okay. I hadn't seen him in 6 years. he showed his entire arsenal to those people. It was embarrassing to me and embarrassing to them. And he wanted to know, how much money are you getting out of this? I said, Fox, you know me. I don't exploit anyone. That I have love for you. I brought you these people who got this money. All you got to do is, well, I'm going to do a 50th anniversary, and I don't need this, and you're trying to pimp me. He just went crazy.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
I walked away, and then we flipped the script on another. That was 82, 83, 9 years, and he's sitting on a sidewalk in a T-shirt on a box, and his cars are being taken away, and his furniture is being taken away. And he looked in the camera, and I know that he was talking about me. He said, it seems like somebody would help me. I've done so much for other people. Now, how can you help somebody that don't want no help?
Wow.
These
Wow.
guys put $500,000 on the table, and I saw the anniversary thing that he did, and Red was brilliant. I mean, he was just. They talk about Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy, and if you ever see his stand-up, he was brilliant.
Yeah, no, I watched his stand-up too.
If you pull up a thing on YouTube, he was on the Flip Wilson show. He was standing there on Flip Wilson's office. He had a glass of scotch in his hand.
Yep.
And it says, we were poor in 29 and 30. And all he did was just name dates up to the 60s. And it was the most hysterical thing. I told Fox, I said, I'm going to Vegas. I'm playing the main showroom in Vegas, the Hilton International. That was the big boy off the strip. You had Barbra Streisand, Bill Cosby, Elvis Presley, and I was co-billing with Glenn Campbell. I said, Fox, let the people write you some material, and we go to Vegas, we'll make a ton of money. I'm making a ton. When they didn't want to pay me my salary, that's what I mounted a show. My manager was Nicky Savano, which rhymes with, you finish that. It starts with a B. That's all I'm going to say. Hey, no names. And I called up Nicky and I said, Nicky, they told me if I don't come back to work, they're not going to pay me any more money. I held it down when Fox was gone. Now, they said if I can't do television, I can't do movies. If my house catches on fire and the news team comes and I'm seen on camera, they're going to take everything away from me. What they did not know, and what they did know, was that I started as a dancer. And I don't have a 4-octave range, but I got a mellow enough voice to carry a tune. So I went to Nicky. I called Nicky. I said, Nicky, he said, hey, kid, how you doing? He had Glenn Campbell, Al Martino, Jerry Vale.
Wow.
He had the big boys. I said, Nicky, you've been trying to get me to do stage. I used to do, Red and I doing hiatus would go out and do shows. I said, Nicky, like they said on Hawaii 5, book me. He said, you want to do it, kid? I said, yeah. He said, how long will it take you to mount a show? I said, give me 4 weeks and $50,000. I'll mount a show. And I'll do 60 minutes. Glenn do 60 minutes. Whole bill. He said, you got it. So he called up Nicky Hilton and Byron Lane, I think, was talent coordinator at the Hilton in those days. And the Hilton was the biggest room. It sat 3,900. That was Elvis's room.
Wow.
And so I they sent people down there and watched the show, and they said, Red came down. He said, you better pay that nigga. He ain't never got to come back. That was like, that's what Suzanne Summers did.
Yeah.
When the Three's Company didn't pay her.
Yeah, right.
Suzanne Summers has got more money than Croesus. She lives about 10 miles north of me in the desert. She's got 1,000 acres.
Wow.
She just had her place on the market for what? $128 million.
Wow.
And Suzanne is Alex Hamill, her husband manager, just merchandised her all over. She had the Thigh Master, she had the health drinks, the Vegas, and she didn't need that. She became 5 times bigger than any of those people. John Ritter, the late John
Yeah,
Ritter.
Yeah,
he was great.
yeah.
So they paid me to come back because they said, "Uh-oh."
I have this jumping Gennaro. Jumping
Look at
Gennaro.
Look at the episode where Lamont dancing.
Which one was that?
Sanford and Son. I thought you were my biggest
Oh,
fan.
wait. No. Wait a minute.
He was dancing.
Wait, you were
Am
dancing.
I talking to the dummies?
No. Wait a minute. I'm trying to think.
I did 2 shows where Lamont
Oh,
danced.
yeah. That was like
I-
season.
The one he was performing
I
in
think
the,
that
in the
was like
bar.
season
It
5,
was like
though, right?
a little like a lounge, right?
That might have been season
The hell
5.
out of you.
You did
The lounge scene,
you did
right?
the tap dancing.
Well, there was 2 shows that we did like that, and that's when America saw this kid's got talent.
Yeah.
It goes beyond this because when I came in the business, these kids today, that they're actors, if they don't get work, they're just out of work. When I came in the business as a kid, I took ballet, I took elocution. I hear these kids today, they can't speak. They don't speak. I don't understand what they're saying. What are they saying? I was doing WOR radio commercials when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
WOR FM.
It's New York, right? Yeah.
I learned absolutely it's New York. I learned to dance. I learned to sing. I learned elocution. You were cross-trained in those days when you came. I went to the same school, Frankie Lyman, Leslie Uggams, Eddie Holman. We all went to the same school. We were the talent coming up in the 60s that were going to be stars. So it was messing with the wrong kid from hey, keep the show. I'm not going to starve. I got a wife, 2 kids, and another one on the way, and I live in Truesdale Estates. You ain't taking nothing out of my. I got to do television.
So I have a question for you, Mr. Wilson. So I'm not going to ask, obviously, what your favorite episode or favorite scene was, but I would like to know, do you recall any particular scene where it was just so hilarious that you guys had to do take after tape? I know it was taped live, but like maybe something during rehearsal or anything of that nature where it was just, you guys were just nonstop laughing, you know, and then finally you got through it.
I'll tell you, I got it. When you first get a show, the writers are sitting at the table. We would do a show. The way it works is you do the show for the following week, and you iron it out. You read it, and the writers are there. They would say, "I don't like that. I don't like that. Take it out. Gotta find something funnier." But the funny stuff, you laughed at that at the table, and you laughed at it a few times in rehearsal. By the time you started, you was hoping the audience laughed at it. The significance of having a live audience is that you got instant feedback. You didn't, a lot of these shows were film shows, and they put laugh tracks. So you do a movie. Who's going to laugh at what, and how they're going to respond to anything, until you go to the movies and see it.
Right.
And you hear people in the theater laugh. But if you have a live studio right there, you say something is funny, they laugh. If it ain't funny, they don't laugh. The problem would be actors would come on the show, and Red hated. He would tell actors, if I say something funny, wait for the laugh and audience to die down before you repeat your words. But actors that are not comedians, that have never done comedic television, all they're concerned with is getting their lines out. So they would walk right into the laugh and say their line, and it didn't make any sense because the audience didn't hear it.
Right.
So the problem with what I did was the audience. They would have to pull it up, but the audience would laugh. Like the courtroom scene where Lamont got the ticket, and he said, "Why don't you go arrest some white people?" He said, "I do." He said, "Where? Look around you. Look at all these niggas in here."
I remember that.
The audience laughed for 5 minutes.
That was great. Yeah.
They had to shut it down and then do a retake to start it over again. That's how long it happened.
Oh my God. I
So,
remember that.
no, you don't. laugh at stuff on a shoot day because by that time you just hoping the audience is going to laugh because you heard it a million times. Right. You rehearse for 4 days, then you do camera blocking and then you shoot it. 2 shows on Friday. The dinner show at 8, at 5, and then the evening show at 8, and then they combine the 2 to make 1.
Wow.
So it's a process. It's a process.
So this is Jumpin' Gennaro. First, I want to ask a question.
Don't go back to 1952 now.
Well, no.
No.
But I have a question, and then I have a comment. I want to share something very special with you. The question is, Aunt Esther.
She was
Now,
LaWanda Page.
LaWanda Page.
She was great.
She is definitely, when she was introduced on the show, she is definitely another amazing dynamic to the show.
She seemed like an amazing.
Well,
It's a great character.
Because she was not an actress. It was natural. I mean, the most difficult thing for Red brought all of these old characters from his life when he was out there in the Hinters. He brought them on the show. Bubba was not an actor. Bubba was no vaudeville guy. LaWanda Page was the bronze goddess. She was a fire eater. He brought all those people in there. Grady's lady was the Queen of Charleston back in the day. If you look at movies from the 40s.
Yes.
So these people were not actors. And that's what made it. LaWanda would have a hard time remembering her line. But when she did, it was natural. That's what was so funny.
She
the
was
same
great.
thing. Now, Whitman Mayo, who played Grady, which is my dad's name, Grady Wilson, we named the characters after a family. Red's brother was Fred G. Sanford. His name was John Elroy Sanford. My father was Grady Wilson, and Lamont was a kid that ran away with Red and formed a tramp band. So they kept it all in house. But Whitman Mayo, that played Grady, was an actor. He was an actor. He used to be up at the Lafayette, the new Lafayette Theater, and he taught after his career was over. He taught at the university. He taught at Morehouse, one of the universities, taught acting. So he was an actor. But most of the Gregory Sierra, who played Julio, God rest his soul, was an actor. Nathaniel Taylor was an actor. But the characters, Leroy Elliott, Bubba, George Rhodes, all those guys they were vaudeville guys. Red brought them along. And they were not actors.
Yeah.
LaWanda was not.
That's interesting. You wouldn't know that. And I'm sure, being a person that studied in the theater, you know the story about Stanislavski, where he brought people.
Bull manure.
What's that?
Stanislavski method is bull manure.
Well, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about his method.
Bull shite.
Bullshit.
We're not talking about his method. We're talking about a story about how he brought.
Listen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to tell you what I know now. I've got a buddy. When I was on my game, I'm sitting in my office here. I got about 12 trophies off golf trophies. My buddy Javier Silva, the golf pro, and we both came to the same conclusion at the same time. Even though he makes $105 an hour teaching hacks to try to play golf, he said, "Pro, it's BS. That's what it is. It's for guys that don't have the confidence. Everybody's not Tiger. Everybody's not a born impresario. Tiger was a born impresario. You can't teach that." And that's what the Stanislavski method was. Method acting. Brando, I never liked Brando until he did The Godfather. I thought, come on, Marlon, say your lines. We're losing sleep, dude. Right?
Well, actually, my comment was not about the method. It was actually the story of how he pulled in characters, real people, into the scene on the stage, and they struggled because they didn't really quite understand, the way that they were and the way they were conducting themselves, and so it didn't work. But what's interesting is that you're sharing this, that there were ordinary people and it did work. So that was interesting to me. The other thing I wanted to
Stop. Let's get back to that. Let's not leave that. I don't want you to have the wrong impression about that. That's my opinion about it. I studied acting. I know the Stanislavski School of Method Acting that he was teaching. And I told you, I started with the big guys at the top. Brando was a proponent of that method acting, and I never liked anything he did. I did not like anything. I did not like Streetcar Named Desire. He was over the top. He drug his line out. Stella. I didn't like On the Waterfront. It was like, come on. I thought it was a brilliant cast around him on the waterfront, but I never liked Brando until he did The Godfather. I never liked that thing where he was putting butter up his backside with that little girl.
I just saw that movie recently.
I hope you took an air sick bag, which you took a
Nope. But Mr.
it totally changed. It totally changed your your thought about a butter roll.
Last Tango in Paris. That's what it was. Last Tango in Paris.
This part that I'm speaking on now,
yes,
I want you to edit that out.
Oh, okay.
No, we're not.
Your edification, for your edification. Your ears don't.
Let it ride, baby. Let it ride.
Let it ride.
Mr.
That's
Wilson.
it.
Mr. Wilson.
Because he's a top guy, and people still love Marlon Brando. They say, who does he think he is? Marlon Brando has an Oscar that he didn't show up for. He sent a native girl, didn't get it. And the other one was Billy D. Williams, who was a very handsome guy. But Billy, say your line, losing sleep. Yeah, you know. I had when I came back from Vietnam, I was walking down the street, and a guy hollered at me. He said, "Demond Wilson, Barbara Ann Teer, you know who that is?" I said, "Yeah, she was married to Godfrey Cambridge, the comedian actor." He said, "She wants to see you." They started a National Black Theater up in the Loft in Harlem, and they're doing a production of Five on the Black Hand Side, which went to Broadway. I went with it, and then it became a movie that Brock Peters directed. So I go up there, and all of I'd say 90% of that cast became famous. Teresa Merritt did That's My Mama. Jonelle Allen did what's the name, Medicine Man, whatever that series was. Lyle Wilson, Ed Bernard was the black guy on the series with Andy Dickinson. So the nucleus of that play, we all became personalities, entities in the business. And Barbara Ann Teers, we were in. It was a series of. It took place in a barbershop, and all of the different characters that came into the barbershop. Me and my friend Eugene were two junkies, and we had business cards. We were Akins, and Poole. We were businessmen. And we came in the barbershop with so when we went to Broadway with the play, everybody, because it was a series of small parts with all of these people, big cast, and everybody now on Broadway was stretching their part off. And Barbara Ann called a meeting. She said, "You know, when we're up in Harlem, everything was fine, but now you people come down here, you want a showtime. Say your lines and get the hell off the stage."
So, Mr. Wilson, in addition, you had a recurring role on Girlfriends, and that was great. Do you want to tell us about any of your experiences with that, of working with Tracy and the cast?
Well, no disrespect, because there's a woman listening, but it was a bunch of women, and you know what that can cause, a kerfuffle. You had women in charge on producing it, women starring in it, and I remember the first day I came in, I used to drop the bed and sing a photographic memory, and I only have to look at it a couple of times and I know the lines. So I come in after we sat at the table and read. The next day I knew my lines, and I come in, and I'm not on the script. And I dropped the line, and the script girl was there. I said, "What's that line?" And the director comes, this little Adolphine Hitler type one, who had who had directed D.L. Smugly on one of those off-channel shows. Well, here on this show, we stay on book. That's what we do here. I said, I don't give a rat's fart what you do here. I'm bigger than everybody in here. This is the way I work. If you don't like it, I can leave. I don't need to be on script because if I'm on script, I can't be creative.
Right.
And then I called her aside. I said, don't you ever talk to me like that in public. Who do you think you are, woman? You're nobody. Well, I directed D.L. Hughley. I said, only 10 people saw that.
And you were on one of the top 5 syndicated sitcoms of all time. What's her point?
Who do you think you're talking to? Wow. I said, I work the way I work. I'm not hindering anything here. Get the producer down here. So the producer, Cahill, a woman came down. She said, Damon, what's wrong? I said, you put a leash on this little chihuahua. Had a long weekend, and I went to Newport Beach to Pelican Hill, and I played a round of golf, and I came back down to the deck, and then I went back to the show. And after the holiday, she came over. She said, well, Damon, how was your holiday weekend? Did you have fun playing golf? I said, somebody chewed your backside out.
So this
I'll
is
bring audience to this show.
This
I told some people. They said, "What are you doing, Damon?" I said, I'm doing girlfriends." They said, "What is that?" I said, "It's a television series." They said, "Is it new?" I said, "No, it's been on like 900 years." Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Well, here's
on this Blackish, which I've never watched. I don't watch episodic television.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's a comment, Jumping General again. I would like to say this before we close off. It's very, very important. Everybody in this room agrees that it was one of the best shows of our
all
time.
Of
all time. Our
definitely,
time and of all
definitely.
time. And I know you've heard that many, many times over. But you need to know this. As a kid growing up, one of my best friends, his name is Anthony Ferrioli. He's now a doctor, a psychologist up in Albany. His father, okay, who could barely speak any English, okay, very little English. He was from Naples, like we're all at this table here, or most of us from Napoli, okay. And I would come in the house, okay, and I would hear him cracking up and laughing like you can't imagine. Constantly. And when I walked in the house and I knew he was watching you and Red Foxx and the rest of the cast, that show was on because he would be cracking up. And I would walk there and I was just entertained watching him cracking up while watching your show. And well, that impression stayed in my mind. And he was the nicest man. Gregorio Ferrioli. Remember that name. Gregorio Ferrioli.
My wife is the one that remembers names. I'm never going to remember. my statement to you is that I've heard what you just said 10,000 times. My grandfather died watching the series. I had a guy in New York. I was in New York City, and the guy said, Damon, I want you to do a spot. I got 5 businesses. I want you to do a spot. I'm going to put a check on the table, and you write the amount in there to do 30-second spots for me. He said, you have no idea. I'm from Russia. I learned to speak English watching your series. Wow. I love you. I love you. I heard you over the years, and it never gets old. Red said to me, you're going to be making money from what we're doing now long after I'm gone. And who would have thought that something as simple, like I said to you this morning, I got a residual check from, wait a second. Can you hold on 1 second? No,
I think you said Switzerland.
Portugal.
I sold some books last week to France, and I went to the mailbox. I went to the postal place that does all of my mail outs. And the lady said to me, Damon, you had a book in here the other day that's going to France, and it didn't have any address on it. And I said, okay, what was the name? And she said, She gave me the guy's name in French.
Let's call him Francois
Francois.
Belochois.
Well,
Labrioski.
I can tell you what his name is. You got 5 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
I'll tell you what. Got it right here. Uh-huh.
And as
There
we're
it-
waiting for that again, as you let us know, Sanford and Son is currently one of the top 5, right?
Is it top
Sin-
5?
This is a fact now. This isn't an opinion. This is a fact that it's one of the top 5 currently syndicated shows of all time.
Wow, that's good
I
stuff.
want to know how you feel, Mr. Wilson. And when I say Mr. Wilson, please, I'm saying that out of respect. So forgive me, but as a newcomer in the industry, that's just how I speak to people that I have, revere. How does that make you feel to hear that?
Cha-ching. Listen,
Aside from that, for real, like think of all the shows on in the history of television, and to hear this is a fact now. This isn't an opinion. This is
I
a
know.
fact. How do you feel
I
hearing
know.
that?
I feel special. I feel like the Lord singled me out at birth. You know, when my mother and father were giving me all of these lessons, and neighbors would say, "Oh, you're wasting your money on that. You're wasting your money. What you spending all that money on that boy for?" And then when I became famous, they said, "Well, we knew he was going to be famous." Here's the kicker. Here's the kicker.
Oh, my God.
This is a sale that came in on November 1st from an Edouard Mazarin Cherubouquet in Courland, France. Right? He bought my second book, the political book, The New Age Millennium. So I go to the post office and the lady said, there was no address. How this is probably going to come back, because when you send off a book overseas, you got to fill out a customs form. And it's very difficult because the lines are like 4 inches long and you got to put 3 words in there. And this guy's name is Edouard Mazarin Cherubouquet from Courland, France. I Googled Courland, France. Population 2,100. I said, they know who he is. I'm going to leave you with that.
They know who it is, sure.
That's great.
Is that funny?
That's great.
Well,
You can listen. Take a pen down. Write this down.
wait. Hold on.
Kerlouan, France. No, Kerlouan. 29890. You don't even need that. Just look up Turkey, France. Population 2,100. I have a feeling they know where Eduardo lives. And if you look at it, it sits above the water, like it looks like one of the small Italian islands, like Naples. It sits right up on a rock.
Well,
And
my village,
sure-
my village in Italy has 1,500. 1,500.
well, see, all I need to put is your last name in it.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Real quick, I want to ask you: are you ever on the East Coast?
Well, yeah, that's why I met you.
Well, listen, we want to. We have a big family over here, and we'd like to, hopefully when you come to the East Coast, you send me a message, meet up.
Go for dinner.
You don't need no security or nothing. When you're with the Wiseguyz, you're good. And we have family restaurants out here that are
I told you.
exquisite.
I
And
told you my manager back in the day was Nick Savano. Nicky Savano, which rhymes with no names.
yeah. No, but we really would like to. You know who we took out to dinner? Remember Dwight Gooden, the pitcher for the Yankees and the Mets? Were you a
Of
baseball
course
fan?
he does. Of course he knows.
I'm vegan, so you have to take me to a vegan hotel.
That's fine.
problem.
We
That's
have 'em,
fine.
we
That's
have 'em.
fine. That's fine. But we
Yeah.
would really like for you to look us up when you're in town. We like to meet people that we interview, friends of ours. You're just a legend to us. And at any time you're in the East Coast, you look us up, and we would love to have you for dinner. I don't mean to eat you for dinner. I mean to have you
We're not Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
I'll have to meet you there because I need to take you for a ride.
Well, It's one of the restaurants is in Hoboken, right on the waterfront, overlooking New York City.
You missed that.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I
Wait.
did. I'm sorry. What was that?
What did he say?
I said, I'll meet you wherever you tell me if I come. I don't want you taking me for a ride.
No, we're the real deal. We're the real deal.
Hey, where are we going? Where are we going? I don't see no houses.
I see the Hudson River, but
Mr.
where's the restaurant?
Mr. Wilson.
I'll send you the info of the restaurant and our messenger and so you can look it up yourself. It's an amazing place.
I was kidding, guy. I was kidding.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
It is on the Hudson River.
I said that the other day in the interview. The guy said, "Oh, that's funny." I said, "Tell your face."
Well, I got to thank you so much for giving us this interview, Demond and Mr. Wilson. And I got to tell you, I hope that we meet again and that we can talk more. But at this point, I'm like completely shell shocked that I had the opportunity to interview you this long. All of us are. And I got to be honest with you, I'm so honored to have this moment in my life.
Well, you guys showed me a lot of love. You know, I'm 75 going 45. When I tell people I'm 75, they go, "No, we thought you were like 40." I said, "Just I admit when I worked with Red, I was 2."
Yeah.
I ain't born yet. Come on. Yeah, you made an old guy happy. You get me a lot of love, and I appreciate you guys. I'm going to let you go. If I get back on the East Coast, I'll give you some heads up, okay?
All right.
That's
Thank you
great.
so
Sounds
much.
good.
So much.
Sounds great.
God bless you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Such an honor. Such an honor.
Blessings all around.
Thank you.
Wow, that was, come on. Let's one more time.
Wow.
Total legend. And
Amazing.
I mean, he was, like you said, he had a high IQ. I mean, he could tell you
Still
everything.
hilarious.
There's a
Just
lot
so
of
you
things
know,
we
let's
didn't know
mention
about him and,
his book, Second Banana. It's a memoir. That's the name of the book, Second Banana, the bittersweet memoirs of the Sanford and Son years. And we bought it when we met him. But
Second banana.
I'm going to send him the link
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Blue Eyes.
This is what we do this for.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. The
We didn't know
stuff
that. You know,
like,
him and
wow.
Red Foxx were like.
He
Yeah.
spoke about so many different things.
I
Yeah.
told him this is how humble he was and how much we gave him. We told him 10 to 12 minutes.
Oh my God.
And we did a good 45-minute interview, and I had to cut it short because we have Lavari here, and I have to.
But I gotta tell you,
8:30 he called.
for a legend,
Yeah.
I don't mind.
No, I know. But,
Okay.
but no, we didn't.
It's 9:30.
I know it's probably was an honor to listen to that
And to actually ask questions.
yeah,
Thank you for
yeah.
allowing me to ask
Oh,
some
yeah,
questions. I
absolutely,
appreciate that.
Absolutely. But let's move on, though. What an honor that was for me, anyway. I mean,
all
I'm-
of us.
My favorite
I-
show.
I
And
just
I'm going to tell you.
I watched the show
It was
the other
on my
night.
show
I had-
every
I
night.
had a